Greetings, everybody. Thank you for taking the time to view our webinar session today. My name is Mike Reinhardt, the Director of Product Marketing here at Opsera, and I'll be your guest host today. I have the pleasure of introducing three guest speakers today that will be presenting a lot of material, covering a lot of information related to Salesforce and some of the environments that many of our customers are finding themselves in. We'll start off by introducing Shripad Hebbar.
Good morning and good evening. And I'm based out of Bangalore, India. So those who are in the same locality or the same region, again, good evening to you all. So I'm working as a director of QA and DevOps for the Infoblox. Infoblox, in fact, it's pioneered in the optimizing the network automation, and we are a leading solution partner, especially on the security of the DDI, DNS, DHCP, and IP address management. So I have more than 21 years of experience across QA automation, DevOps, with the product development, predominantly to the product development itself. Prior to Infoblox, I was working with Ericsson as director of test engineering and release management, and before that, it was with Adobe Systems, Intuit. So that way, it's like over 20 years of experience in the multiple enterprise applications.
Great.
Thank you, and this is really, I'm excited to be part of this webinar.
We're so glad to have you. Thanks for joining. I'll turn it over to Kumar Chivakula.
Yeah, thank you, Mike. Thank you, Shripad. And first of all, thank you all for joining us, and really appreciate your time and support on this initiative. And good morning, good evening, and really looking forward to this webinar. I'm Kumar Chivakula, CTO, co-founder of Opsera, and been in the industry for quite some time. But in the interest of time and interest of what the topic is, I'll let pass it back to Mike and have Mike finish the intros, and we can get into the meat of the conversation.
And last but not least, also joining us from India is Punita Karyappa.
Hi, everyone. This is Punita. Good morning and good evening. I have overall of 10 plus years of experience, and mostly on Salesforce platforms. So happy to talk to you all and discuss further.
Great. Thanks for joining. I know it's late for you guys there. So before we begin, just a little bit of housekeeping. This session will be recorded for future viewing on the Opsera YouTube channel. If you could advance to the next slide, Kumar, please. Where you can find many recorded sessions just like this one and others that we've done previously. Please take the time to subscribe to our channel so that you can be notified of any new content that we post. We also encourage you to hit the like button on the content you find valuable so that we can use that to figure out what we can be doing more of in the future. And then finally, if you find this or other content valuable, please share it with your friends and colleagues. You can click the share button and send them a link to any of your favorite videos on that channel. So before I turn it over to Kumar, Shripad, this is a kind of a compilation of some of the many common pain points that our customers have, especially in the Salesforce environment, have told us. There's constant pressure for multiple release cycles. There's constant demand for changes and overlapping code. Lots of security and compliance issues. Visibility is limited very much into silos or very specific tools. Deployments are very manual, as well as trying to fix those environments. Maintaining complex scripts, merge conflicts with code coming in from various branches that are complex, and trying to resolve overlapping code clashes. And then finally, there's multiple solutions and silos for the various different SaaS applications that don't talk to each other, that don't provide any kind of insights or visibility up and down the CI/CD chain. And so we'll dive into some of this and how others have dealt with that in our presentation. So with that, Kumar, I'm going to run a poll real quick just to see how others are dealing with this. So you should see that on your screen. If you could take the time to kind of answer that, which best fits your environment. We can share that with the audience, but also use that in our presentation to more customize the content that we're presenting today. Give folks a few minutes to participate there. Thank you for all jumping in. Okay, we'll stop there. So it looks like merge conflicts and org syncs are a very common problem. This is one that we hear a lot about from our existing base. Security compliance is also becoming more of a challenge and looking for secrets in your code. And we do have some solutions in that area as well. So thanks for taking the time to do the poll. I'll turn it over to Kumar for more of our presentation.
Actually, you want to bring up the poll results again? I would love to hear Kumar and Shripad's comments. There's also a question on the tools.
So why don't you, Shripad, why don't you take the first crack at it, and I'll chime in after that.
Yes, sure. In fact, if you look at my notes later on, predominantly like these are the few of the common challenges which even any of the organization could even encounter, and that's even applicable even to our organization too. So especially when you have been working in a diverse teams with the multiple Scrum teams, but definitely one of the key challenges about the merge conflicts. Multiple developers are working on the multiple components, and they're the same component. In fact, they're in that case, each one is going to even step on each other. So that's a quite common challenge which we've been facing in our organization. Org syncs, yes, that's one of the key things. Security compliance, as we are moving towards the DevSecOps. The one of the compliance is related to the security, how we can onboard the security or embed it as part of the development process. Quality, how we can reduce our time to the market by introducing the integrating any of our quality automation scripts, and so that way we can test the changes quickly before even deploying to the production. And finally, key thing is about the rollback and backups. Any organizations, they would like to look for the scaled agile framework, rollback and backups. That's key thing is about the recovery side. That's one of the key things which all the organizations even keenly look for that. And I'm glad that the challenge is pretty much is distributed across the key areas. But again, it's like I completely agree on these changes or these challenges. On the tool side, just I keep it to the open to the each organization based on the multiple factors. It could be related to the budget available, the support relating to the what type of code you're using it. So it's a Salesforce. It has a multiple the security tools. Again, the license model. So that's just to keep it as open for each organization to decide.
Thank you, Shripad. So just give you a couple of maybe the summary of the customer journeys and stories to you guys, how it works, right? So when we engage with one of the largest industry conglomerate where they have the solution, the native solution of the Salesforce, but it was not working the way they wanted, and also they want to shift to source-driven development, source-driven deployment. And as a result, because they want to bring all the commonalities across like Jira, your source code repository management, notifications, approvals, security, quality, whatnot, it was a bit of challenging for them to do it, and because as part of the integration, right? So we helped them, but we've seen the firsthand about 26 Salesforce organization, close to 125, 130 developers, Salesforce developers using the platform. I think it aligns with most of the things, but there is a journey, right? People have to cross this is a journey itself. You can't solve all of them at once. But one of the things that they have done is like crawl, walk, run, wherein which they started with the deployments and package builds and deployments, and layer the security, then the quality, and then they got the governance aspects on top of it. So they got the visibility as well. So I think all of them are important, but I think how you incorporate them into the journey based on your environment, the complexity, which makes a difference. I think it goes back to tools. I think the tools are like we continue to be there. We want to give the choice and flexibility, but in doing so, how do we make it easy for the enterprise customers? That is a key here. And how do we make sure that you protect your existing investment and choice, but be able to embrace ecosystem? We're not picking a choice between a Sonaki versus PMD versus Checkmark versus something else, right? We want to support it, but be able to give the opportunity for them to use the shift left approach and using the DevSecOps approach and see how we can automate the technical security approvals, as well as you're getting the visibility into it, make sure that you're compliant with your SOX or PCI, those type of controls. So a couple of things. This is where something we want to spend some time before we dive into the other things. And basically, I'll just quickly cover some of the challenges in more of a story format and this thing, and I'll let Shripad chime in as well. So one thing that we have seen time and time again with enterprise customers, like it's not just the running into challenge. This challenge is pretty common. I'm sure most of you agreed with us. And it's more towards how do we shift away from the siloed mentality more into a agile and as well as DevOps framework, apply the DevOps framework, right? So that's one of the challenges. And in the past, everybody used to operate in the silos, and then they used to manage their own solution. It used to work, but given that where we are with cloud and multi-SaaS, multi-cloud environment, you have to have a solution that can cut across multiple applications as well as within the application go deeper into it. I think that's where the Salesforce comes into the problem. Salesforce being the top of the pyramid with many of the SaaS applications, which has been a very mature platform, and a lot of the developers are developing that, even though they're doing the platform, but it's a lot of the SDLC, which is software development lifecycle concepts applicable to that. A lot of enterprises are embracing now and going from the black box solutions and coming into more of a white box and open orchestrator. And the challenges that you see, like everybody wants to, as part of the digital transformation, they want to do it every day, every week, every month, and every 2 weeks. They want to have releases, and they want to be in a position to make changes on the fly as soon as the sales team and sales ops team give the requirement. They should be in a position to run the story, gather the requirements, sign off, and go to production and with various checks and balances. And visibility has been one of the challenges, because visibility becomes afterthought, and also security quality, because they want to push it through something, but they don't want to think about it. Once you put something into production, you don't want to be exposed, especially with the latest Heroku thing that happened and a bunch of other things that events that happen where you can expose your secrets, passwords, keys, along with PII data. You don't want to be in a position where your name is in the news. And you need to think about security and more than ever, because it's a digital world. Everything is available, everything can be accessed by anyone. If you don't protect yourself, things can be exposed. And that, for that reason, you need to have a visibility. Once you have visibility, it becomes easier in terms of like who is doing what, how things have been developed, how things have been deployed, and where the bottlenecks, where the challenges. You can avoid the manual deployment as a result of that. And also removing the maintenance complexity associated with Git merge conflicts and so on and so forth. And more importantly, you want to evaluate your self-productive investment in terms of like how you are able to bring all the solutions together. And this is the perfect segue for me to give it back to like Shripad and share his viewpoint of what are the challenges he has seen, not just the current company, in general from his industry experience.
Thanks, Kumar. In fact, in the current industries, there are two key things which is predominantly looked at in the DevOps side. One is the enterprise DevOps, and second is the scaled agile framework. So pretty much these are all the two areas which is going to touch upon these challenges itself and how you address it. So as you know, that enterprise DevOps is like application of the DevOps values in a larger business environment. The larger business environment it can have multiple enterprise applications. We'd like to have a standardized DevOps process which has been defined. As you know that DevOps is again a CI/CD, continuous integration and continuous deployment. But however, how we can make it more seamless. And so that way, whatever the Kumar has mentioned about all the challenges, that needs to even address those things. And it shouldn't be a burden for the pocket of there, especially how the company can even able to even manage those things without even having additional the cost to the organization. And second, the safe is also even on the same line. It's going to even define the framework. So that way the end goal is how quickly we can able to deliver to the customer with high value, with again quality of the software, so should be even delivered at a faster pace. So all these challenges, merge conflict, yes, there's like multiple people will be involved. As an enterprise, as you say that it's like it's a complex system. It will have the broad variety of the people. Each one, it comes to the different values. The process will be different. Policies are different. Technology would be different, right? So how are we going to bring together everyone and finally meet the goal of the safe and the enterprise DevOps processes? That's just summary, whatever Kumar has mentioned about the challenges here.
Yeah, of course, we're going to cover a bunch of these things as part of the customer success story and your success story as well. And then we'll be able to touch upon some of these things. But I think the last topic in this thing is Salesforce being the front runner in the SaaS environment. But you see a lot of the companies like Adobe Experience Manager, Oracle, and you have a Snowflake, Informatica, Boomi, and SnapLogic, APG, and what have you. They're slowly catching up, and they're also like bringing the concepts into the mix. Since that's been one of the pain points for the enterprises as well, which we can address that as part of our discussion, and also Shripad can chime in the next couple of slides. Okay, we'll move on to the next one. just want to cover that now that we talked about challenges and see how one of the company recently went to IPO. It's a NoSQL database company. We can't really use a name, but I'm just going to give that hint and I'll leave it at that. And when they went to IPO, one of the challenges that they have is being the startup for 8 to 10 years. What happens is you end up building a lot of systems without any process. It's not to blame anybody. It's just the organic evolution of any company. But when you go to the public company, there are some guidelines and governance aspects have to come into play along with agility velocity. It's not just agility velocity is the only thing, because you need to have a brakes for the car, right? The reason you can't just go fast all the time. You have to have a brakes at times and make sure that you control when you need to apply the brakes. That's exactly what this company was trying to do it. And they looked at a few solutions and looking at the enterprise-wide process and going back to what Shripad mentioned, enterprise DevOps. They want to look at the solution that can bring the standardization and automation and also bring the security quality gates into the mix. Plus, more importantly, they want to pass the security audit that they have, and which is what one of the biggest objective for them, and which they want to have a streamline in the process between from the sandbox to the dev to the QA to UAT to production as well, and so that they can track it, who is performing the releases, who is approving it, and how things have been controlled. And through Slack and Jira approvals, they want to have it. And we work with them, and then we help them set up the platform. It's a SaaS platform, and being that they are also using the SaaS heavily, we were able to do it very quickly. Within a couple of days, they were able to up and running. And we streamline the process through them by integrating the existing tools that they have, like their Jira, their Slack, and also integrating with their own security tools as well as source code management, which is GitHub that they have. And then now they have a way to process them and be able to audit them. And then they're able to see things as opposed to having multiple people making changes in production without knowing what it is. One of the pain points that they had is they have a bunch of upstream and downstream applications, like Salesforce being the hub, a bunch of other spokes. They have NetSuite, they have a SnapLogic, they have a bunch of finance applications, bunch of applications related to subscription. And you make a change without understanding the impact, it can break the application integrations. With Opsera being there now, they can streamline it without impacting by protecting the upstream and downstream dependencies. As a result, they're able to achieve about close to 25 to 30% productivity, which is in terms of where they have to spend time in solving the problem. Now they streamlined it, they don't have to spend time there. And they got into 100% visibility and controls in place. As a result, they're able to pass the external and internal audit as part of that for the Salesforce application or platform. Rather, they're pretty happy customers. So we continue to work with them. But that's a quick summary of this company that went to IPO, how they transformed themselves, and will be able to achieve the compliance and security along with agility. With that, I'll turn it over to Shripad to talk about his journey and the story and what they have done and how they are able to achieve the higher degree of productivity and security aspects as well. So, Shripad.
Thanks, Kumar. So, in our organization, in fact, it's typically I would like to touch upon again the challenges, opportunities. So, DevOps, in fact, when it started, it's a journey. I would like to adopt to the DevOps practices, and this is one of the key objective or the goals of any of the organization. So when it looks at the DevOps, the first thing is about we'd like to bring a culture that's going to bring the people, process, and product together, so that way we can able to deliver the quality in the quality software in a faster way. So when looking at it, the challenges we'd like to look at is collaboration between the teams. So it's being in we're part of the IT organization where the team is geographically cross distributed. That again, there will be the same Salesforce itself will be managed as supported by the multiple teams. As we have been adopted to the agile practice, there will be Scrum teams. Each Scrum team is some teams will be working on the new features, some team will be working on the enhancements, or some maybe on the hot fixes, or maybe related to fixing the incidents, right? But however, the common thing is about that they may touch upon the same component itself. So that's one of the key challenge we were looking at is how to address that one when the developers are collaborating together and working on those components. Then the releases, would like to be scale ourselves, deliver the changes as quickly as possible. This is one of the key objective of how we're going to satisfy or fulfill the requirement of our business team, right? So then the on-demand release is one of the key things which comes out of the business requirement. While multiple developers are working together, then naturally we'll end up with having the merge conflicts because they are working on the same component, but maybe like that, the objective would be different. The one developer may be working for the new feature, which is going to even make the changes to the same component versus another development making an enhancement for the current changes. Right. So resolving the merge conflict, it's really a tedious job where used to take, involved with a lot of manual efforts. And again, it's like the cost wise, it's like I would say, it's like developer has to spend their productive hours just to solve their merge conflicts. Next is our traceability of the code changes. We'd like to see that who made the changes to this particular code, when it was done. And this helps us to even roll back whenever we would like to make the changes or go back to the previous things. And the next is our DevSecOps. As the industry, we are adopting to all the latest the principles or the practices of the DevOps and move to the DevSecOps. How we can integrate the security as part of our the development cycle. Then last but not the least, we are going with the enterprise DevOps. Don't want to limit ourselves only to the Salesforce, but extend that practice to the rest of other enterprise applications. So that way we don't want to invest again just for one CI/CD platform for that Salesforce versus another CI/CD platform or on other enterprise applications. Rather than how we can make it as cost effective, efficient, and also optimize our the redundant activities across the multiple applications. So these are the key challenges we'd like to even address it. And also as an organization, we would like to adopt to the safe practices, the scaled agile, the framework. So that way we have a better visibility. We can monitor the changes. We can able to even provide the complete insight into our the development processes and as well as the release cycles. So overall, from these challenges and opportunities, Opsera is the DevOps platform is been identified. In fact, there are a lot of efforts when assessment was done buy versus build, where we can assess from the efforts involved from either from the forfeiture of the data or could be on the security risk, exposure to the different market risk and opportunity cost. Like, if I want to even build myself, our organization, how many developers would like to onboard versus getting a readily available solution from the market, and what's the time to build it, or maybe it could be what could be the control as well as the cost of ownership. So those are all the areas which have been assessed before even going ahead with Opsera as a DevOps platform. And the few of the out of the box features which is available with Opsera is like no code CI/CD pipeline. So that way we can able to even skill our DevOps team or the developers create their CI/CD pipeline independently. Built-in quality and security automation, how we can able to integrate our existing automation tools or maybe the security tools. No need to even buy another tool for that. Rather than repurposing our investment, you leverage our existing tools and integrate it. It could be SonarQube, it could be the Selenium, or maybe the TestNG. Pretty much everything will be seamlessly can be integrated. And it should even provide 100% visibility to our releases, and developers can have a better insight into it by integrating with some of our communication channels like Slack. So that way we can seamlessly get all the information or notification as and when the check-in happens or the commits happens, when the deployment happens to the individual environment. So pretty much it provides the complete visibility. And as I mentioned, enterprise DevOps being a standard ubiquitous solution. So that way we can extend it to the rest of the other SaaS applications. It could be Oracle Fusion, could be Boomi integration, or it could be the Workday. So that way we have multiple SaaS applications which can be even supported with a single solution. Okay, and just over the results. The journey started a few months back. It's not even a year. It's around 6 months back itself. And proudly I would say that within the short time of 2 to 3 months, could able to even realize that value of what challenges were there, how it has been addressed, and also see the result out of it. which is also, it has been helped us to even improve our release quality, integrated the security as part of the development process. And we can see the visibly, could see the improvement in the productivity. And yes, another last thing, but very important is for us, the next journey. It is, don't want to limit ourselves only to the Salesforce, and we can take it to the rest of other SaaS applications, the enterprise application. So that way we can go with a one unified DevOps platform. Over to Kumar.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you very much. Really, like we are going in a memory lane with you guys, and I really appreciate your partnership, and thank you for that. So this is the more of a bringing it some of the things, right? So how do we, like, there are many things we talked about it. There are, the Salesforce being one of the ecosystem. Salesforce also like interacts with many of them and most of them. How do you ensure that you bring these things together in terms of like your Git repositories, your testing tools, quality tools, your ITSM, ticketing system, or your store planning tools and collaboration tools, and as well as your single sign-on and various other things. It's just it's one of the challenge that Shripad articulated, and then which is what he's covering. I'll let maybe Shripad chime in on these things. And what was the, like, I talked about build versus buy. Imagine that I will let him tell his own words versus doing a solution that can offer all of them out of the box and be able to accelerate the journey, and what would have taken time and how they're able to achieve that using one DevOps platform to solve all three use cases or many other things in the pipeline. Maybe Shripad, why don't you maybe double click on the build versus buy, and why out of the box integrations are absolutely critical for you and other enterprises.
Yes, Kumar. It's like when we started with the journey with us for the DevOps transformation, right? Pretty much everyone would like to see the end result as quickly as possible, right? So this is where the key assessment of the build versus buy is going to come into picture. In fact, again, there's one more thing is about rather than buy, can it be rent it? That's where your SaaS platform is going to come into picture. So that way, never the investment will be quite expensive, and how the organization can be able to support those things. So when when the leadership or the management would like to see the result quickly in a shortened time, and also like the business can start seeing the value out of it. So the time is the very important thing. So that there we are always look at the opportunity cost. So the opportunity cost is more like, suppose if I build a huge army of the engineers, DevOps engineers, going to start building the DevOps platform. That's going to take a lot of efforts. Even could we start from the hiring the right skill sets, onboarding them, then start with the define the framework, define the architecture, and then create our solution. So this is, it's going to take a time. And finally, it's like when you look at the demo or maybe end of our project, any changes is there, whether it fits our requirement out, again, it's quite late in the cycle to even decide it. So rather than that, some solution which is already available, it's a matter of a demo to see that, okay, how it fits to our requirement and any customization required. Then that's the conversation is only on the taking up the customizations, minor changes. So that way we can see the value proposition in a short time. So that's opportunity cost is the one of the key things which has been really played a critical role. Time to build, yes, of course, the time to build is very important, because time is in fact is the important from the business perspective also. Next is about the cost of ownership. Like when you're building a solution ourselves versus we are going with and buying a solution, the rent is going to the solution, which is where we can go. It's sort of a subscription model. That's what I mentioned. It is a rent here. That becomes like quite important here, because the cost of ownership is being compared. Maybe like when you're building it, initial investment will be low, but over the period is that's quite expensive. But however, in the cost of ownership is going to be reduced when you go with the solution which is readily available. So that way, monetary cost, that's the one thing which we looked at it, even while assessing this particular platform. But the last but not least is about, in this journey, we would like to reassess about, go back and see that what are the DevOps tools already in our kitty, right? Already with the organization, we made an investment on those things. don't want to even discontinue, because otherwise it becomes like a new investment itself. Like for the code repository, if you have, we're using the GitHub, don't want to go with something else just to even force fit into the any other new solutions. So that's why we would like to retain our investments on the support to the existing DevOps tools, and look for another solution or any other CI/CD solution which can leverage those things without making any changes. It's that way it's to make delta change the investment rather than again reinvest into our existing automation tools.
Yeah, thank you. One of the key thing that one is rent, use rent, but I think the SaaS model with respect to you have the flexibility, predictable way of managing the environment, also continuous innovation, right? So you use the innovation without you spending it. Let's say some other customer gets the feature, you also get the benefit. That's one thing that we discussed extensively in many other, not only for you, with you guys, other people as well. Like case in point is Git custodian, right? Where we came up with this problem and we want to solve it. And when we solved it, it is available for other customers where they can easily use it for the Git repository and detect the secrets, keys, passwords, ensure that anything that is going in, leaking the data from the sandbox development, going to production, you can detect them and be able to make a change, stop the build, stop the package deployment, and a bunch of other things you can do that. So these are the innovation aspects comes out of the box as part of the solution and SaaS solution. Thank you. So this is super helpful. I really appreciate you, Shripad, for sharing the thoughts. And we would like to bring it home and with all the things that we discussed and quickly, and then we'll open up for maybe another poll, and Mike will cover that, and followed by the great demo by Punita. And she's patiently waiting for us to show all the great stuff that the team has built, and we'll take it from there. Okay, just to bring it home, right? So we talked about some of the challenges, how we are addressing it, how we are helping the enterprise customers today. The first one is flexible deployment. We want to meet the customer where they are at, as opposed to like forcing the customer to adopt something that they cannot adopt. And for example, they have, like Shripad mentioned, they have Git repository, someone else maybe have Bitbucket, someone else have GitLab. We don't really care much. We want to make sure that we give the opportunity for them to integrate what they have, and then support them in R2R deployments, or source-driven deployment and source-driven development, or they want to have quick deploy or Git merge conflicts without understanding. Some people, some enterprises, they're very savvy with Git commands. Some people are not. It's not we want to be in a position to help both enterprises at the high quarters and low quarters, which we support that. And then we talked about extensively about out-of-the-box integrations. This is not just this is a sample set of out-of-the-box integrations. What we have is these things are available in a plug-and-play manner using the best practices from each of the tools. We have our solution available in the marketplaces, many of them, where this can be used, and we constantly work with this with partners and be able to help improve the innovation, but also give the ease of use without them writing the glue code and integration code and what have you. And we do have API integrator where something is not available, catch-all type of thing. We have it where you can easily bring that into equation as well. And then once you have the deployments and the integrations are running, you need to be in a position to get the visibility and make sure that you have a persona-based dashboards. You want to be in a position to show the dashboards with respect to your KPIs and OKRs and key performance indicators and objectives and as well that you have, where in which you can divide the dashboard into developer, manager, executive, and then director, so on and so forth. You'll be able to measure these things with respect to how well you're doing the deployments, how the development is running, where the bottlenecks are, where the security gaps, where the challenges associated with quality. You will be able to make decisions holistically and make intelligent decisions through actionable intelligence. And another one is backup and recovery, which is important, because if you don't build a solution with where you can back it up, especially with release management, it's not going to do any good. So we'll be able to, this is the plug and play again, no code pipelines. You can insert a step, you can easily go into the production with a lot of confidence. If something goes wrong, just flip the pipeline and you'll be able to recover the data very quickly as well. And the last but not least, which is the compliance, audit, and governance. This is more of a guardrails for the entire ecosystem, right? It's like applying the car. You want to go really fast, but you want to apply the brakes along with it when you need to. And that is where the approval gates, audit logs, allback mechanism will come. One of the enterprise customer, they use Opsera. They have to deal with FTC audit, SOX audit, PC audit, Salesforce being one of the hub for them, and they have to go through all of them, a lot of manual stuff. Using Opsera, they're able to reduce 85% of the time they were spending, and they don't have to spend because they can automate the reports and send it to them using a user ID inside the platform. Auditors can download the reports very quickly and they can see the information. So all in all, I think what we talked about as integration, integrating the tools across a Salesforce ecosystem, we feel confident that we, based on our customer success stories, along with what we've done, we want to keep the choice and flexibility, but also give you the no-code pipelines and also get the visibility, but bringing all of them together. With that, I'll turn it over to Mr. Mike. And Mike, please let me know anything you need, and otherwise you can proceed with the next poll question.
Great, thanks, Kumar. Thanks, Shripad, as well. It was fascinating to hear a real customer experience and how they went through that journey and have been able to get into a DevSecOps position, which is where many companies are still struggling. So fascinating stuff. I do have one more poll to launch here before we go into the demo. Just a couple quick questions, if you wouldn't mind taking the time to click on those. Post that again, please. Remember, you can add any questions that you might have in the Q&A section on the bottom of your Zoom window. Please do that, and we'll spend some time answering those after the demonstration. So I've launched the next poll. If you could just take a couple minutes, please, to give us your feedback there. Folks, a couple more minutes.
Interesting questions, both of them, and looking forward to see the results.
Yeah, I get to see them live. It's been interesting to watch the results.
Yeah, we get to experience after the fact.
Okay, one more minute, and then I'll launch. Okay, we'll go ahead and end the poll here. And I'll let Kumar or Shripad have any comments related to the answer you're seeing here.
I think that sounds like seems like this is a good set of mixture. I think currently the first one is CI/CD automation platform. It's not about no longer nice to have. It's something that you have to have, and because especially with digitization, multi-cloud, multi-SaaS, it's not a choice. People have to adopt and embrace it to have a faster releases with safer with security quality aspects into the mix, and also be able to improve, innovate faster, and be able to help their own customers. Enterprises have to invest. There's no other choice but doing it. And glad that you guys approve, reiterating the message. And then cloud applications, I think that's mixed a lot. And yes, these applications vary from various other people. It's definitely not surprising from Adobe to seeing the Adobe Experience Manager, and as well as other things that SAP and MySQL and Informatica followed by that. It's pretty common thing. We have multiple integrations to that. And I'll let maybe Shripad talk about it, because multi-cloud, multi-SaaS, and requires an enterprise DevOps solution.
Come on, in fact, you rightly touch upon those things. It's like, as just I agree with there were comments on the both question 1 and question 2. Right, it's like CI/CD is like maybe like I'm glad to see that more than 50% people already adopted to that CI/CD platform. That's wonderful. It's like they're on the already in the DevOps transformation journey. The 27% exploring, they know about the need of that one. That's really a good thing. But as you mentioned, it's like in the next couple of years, it's like I'm sure that pretty much 100% of the organizations will be on the DevOps one. And the second is like Adobe. I consider it as a marketing cloud. The AEM, the Adobe Experience Manager you mentioned. So that looks to be the 40% of the people that predominantly they're using it. That's basically about the managing our the web content, and that's again it becomes like the critical piece in the especially in the enterprise DevOps journey. The rest, Boomi and Informatica, it's like the integration platform. That's where any of the Opsera type of platform can even able to even address it. The MySQL is the one thing which is that's where I could see that like a database integrating the database, especially as part of the CI/CD. It comes around 50%. That's really a good piece with the size we can see in this in the result, and that's quite interesting to even look at it, because again it's either is it like hosted in the cloud or it's an on-prem. Those are the other areas maybe requires some more information. which helps us to even assess it even better.
Yeah, the good news is MySQL, I know I'm going to plug for Opsera, we're ahead of Opsera. We have integration to Flyway and a couple of others, and where we have we easily do database schema migrations as well, and Liquid-based and Flyway, native integration. We do support NoSQL and SQL database migration, schema migration, not a problem. I think it's just music to my ears when I see these results. So,
Right. Cool. Thank you.
Great, thanks.
thank you, Mike, and for connecting both. Thanks everyone for providing your inputs as well.
I think everybody's anxious to see the demo. I'm going to turn it over to Punitha to give everybody a view into our tool. We'll spend a little bit of time on that. Again, if you have any questions, please type those into the question and answer window, and we'll get to those at the end here.
Okay, can I stop sharing and give it to Punitha?
Yes, sure, Kumar.
Take it over, Punitha.
Thank you. So I would like to start with the set of tasks which we have available in Salesforce, mainly because I saw the poll results. One of the main thing was about git merge conflict and rollback and backup options, right? So these are the different options which are independent or apart from the deployment which we have in Opsera as a platform, wherein we can do bulk migration. I will talk about it in detail in the next few minutes, but I just wanted to highlight that these are different options which we have within Opsera, which will address all the queries you have or concerns you have from a Salesforce deployment strategy perspective. So moving on to git merge sync task, right? This is another independent task which we have on the platform. And as a use case perspective, let's say you have a set of developers who want to commit all the changes, not directly to the org, but to a version control system. So git merge sync is one of the tasks which can be leveraged here. And what we do here is enable the developers to select the components from Salesforce org and commit it to a Git repository, right? So if you see the configuration here, I have connected to the Salesforce org, which I wanted, and then the repository, and also I have a target branch which has been configured in this particular scenario. So this could be the release branch, or each developer can have their own branch, and then the release manager can merge all the branches into the release branch. So the options, there are different options. There's no right way. It completely depends on the branching strategy your organization follows. So quickly, let me click on run task. And here, when I click on start new instance, I will be displayed with all the different metadata types, which is available in Salesforce. And also we have the option to filter down based on the dates. So let me take from 1st July. And if you see here, I can select the Apex class, custom field, custom object, and so on. So basically it lists down all the metadata types that can be deployed through package. And when I go ahead, the next step, what happens is it actually pulls up all the relevant components for those metadata types. And we can again filter down on which exact component you want to actually deploy or commit to the branch, right? And while this comes up, I just want to highlight, we also have the ability to, merge these files within Opsera platform. And yeah. So I can select the component here individually. For example, I want to deploy the temperature controller, which I have developed, and then the test class of the same, and then proceed with these two files. So the next page, what it provides me is the conflict resolution page, right? And this provides all the different new additions, or if something has been deleted, depending on what the developer wants to commit to the Git repository, we can go ahead with those selections and move forward with the deployment. So what this task would take care of is create the package XML and then commit these changes into the Git repository. And then what the release manager can do is use that particular branch and make sure it gets deployed to the destination org. So in this way, the source of truth for your complete project is your version control system. So you can see that it provides all the diff, which I've added into this particular class. And yeah, so I would just go ahead and confirm these 5 changes, and I would trigger this git merge task. And what would happen is that all these changes would get deployed to the VCS system, the version control system. So once that is already available, we have something called as the pipeline, right? So in all the commits that go into the version control system can be moved from the branch to the destination or we also support org to org movement. In case you do not want to commit to anything to the repository, but you want to directly pull it from your source org and deploy it to the destination org, that is also a possibility. And this is configurable, and it can be done very quickly. Setting up this pipeline, we have all the different steps that's there. I mean, in this particular pipeline, I've added all the possible steps which we can have in a Salesforce deployment. So, and also you can just rearrange this if you do not want metadata transform step. So just to give a highlight, what's the metadata transform step, right? There are email IDs which we use, which varies from one environment to another environment. And when we do a deployment of those email alerts or custom labels where the environment variables change with each environment, like your QA has another email ID, production has another email ID. You can configure that here as part of your deployment so that you're reducing the number of manual steps when you do carry out a deployment, right? So that's one of the things. And you can reconfigure the steps if you want. You can disable the steps if you want, depending on your personal requirement of your organization. Once you're done editing it, so this is where you have the each configuration of each step, wherein for example, in this scenario, I've given the branch name as the one I've configured in the git merge sync, wherein I'll pick up the files from this git branch and pull the components from this git branch and then add it to the destination. So in the validation step, what I'm doing is I'm validating it against the destination org, which is my dev2 org, where I'm deploying the components, right? Also, I want to highlight how we have the static code analyzer, as a step within the pipeline. What will happen is you can define all the different rules for static code analyzer. So this is just one of the static code analyzer we have configured. We also, as mentioned earlier, support PMD and SonarQube, all the other things. So you can define the quality gates. You can pull up the quality, whatever rules you want to perform for this particular pipeline. If you do not want any one of them, you can remove them and configure as you want, right? So this is the flexibility we provide in configuring each and every step of your pipeline. Also, I want to highlight, we have a step called backup, wherein what we do is every time a pipeline is executed, we can make sure that there is a backup branch wherein the destination components, which is going to be modified due to the package, will be taken as a backup in this particular branch so that you have a rollback strategy in place. So this is one of the poll questions, one of the pain point that was mentioned. So I just wanted to highlight. Then also we have the approval gates, which can trigger an email and whoever is the person. So I've configured myself as the email point of contact. So I will be the approval for this gate particular pipeline. When it reaches this step, there will be a pause on this particular pipeline, and I will have to come into the system and approve this particular step. Only then would it go for validation and so on. And this is particularly helpful when I have all my code analysis in place. I'll be able to review these, the exceptions that's coming out of the code, and then approve or decide. This is particularly helpful when. So also what I want to highlight is we have integrations to all the different tools, communication tools, which is the Slack, Jira, Microsoft Teams. We can configure as and whichever tools you want to configure to, and you will be notified with each and every step. So this is how the pipeline execution happens. I would like to just quickly run through this pipeline. start a new instance, and you see, again, as mentioned in the Git sync, it's similar to that. We can pick up the files, select the metadata type, go ahead with time span. So one different thing about in the pipeline execution is you can, select the files from the Git repository, or you can also select from the org if you want to select it from the source org and directly deploy it to the destination org. So I will not go into executing of this pipeline as we are, about time, but I just want to highlight on other features. So there's this feature called bulk migration, which we have within Opsera. And what this does is, this is particularly helpful in taking backups before your refresh activity, and make sure you use this repository as a rollback strategy. Or let's say this is a very common use case. You want to refresh your UAT, but there is one project which is in progress and you don't want to override those components or lose that development. So in this case, what you can do is take a backup in this particular branch and refresh your UAT and deploy those particular components which you want to, bring back to its previous state before the refresh. So all you have to do is select those components and pull it into this particular package XML, and you will have all the components deployed into your Git repository. So quickly moving on to insights. So we have very interesting insights available for Salesforce. And as you can see here, everything is actionable. You can see how much time was spent on package creation, and we also have details for each and every pipeline. What was the execution time? What was the total build time, and how long it took to execute, and so on. So each step, like package validation, how long did the package validation take? And also profile migration. I've not spoken about it, but yeah, profile migration is one of the biggest pain point also within Salesforce deployments. So we can have independent profile migration pipelines where we can highlight how long did profile migration actually take up in your release cycle, right? So these are very interesting insights which we have. We also have the ability to display how many components were deployed, how many failed, how many unit tests were run, test class executions happened, and so on. Quickly moving on to Salesforce lookup. This is a very interesting feature which we have. So what we can do is we can come up with within a given time frame, we can say what were the components that were deployed, who deployed those components, and which pipeline did it take happen through. So let's take example of the same class which I was talking about. When I filter this out, it gives me, sorry. Yeah. So you can see that this particular class was deployed 14 times, and these are the different pipelines where these were used. Similarly, if I want to see this profile, which pipelines and who deployed these profiles, all this valid, all these information is available in the lookup feature. So this is in a beta version, but we have more interesting features coming out on this. And the final point I want to touch base on is the blueprints. This is the one-stop solution for all your audit and compliance related asks. You can see I can filter down based on a pipeline and pull up a run, which run what it was, and then make sure I get all the details of each and every step, what was deployed, what failed, what was the scan that was executed, and so on. So yeah, this was my final piece of demonstration. If you have any questions, and Kumar, over to you otherwise.